Someone younger fell hard for you. And God allowed it. I speak now, not as an idea, not as imagination, but as Archangel Michael, sent with urgency because this message found you at the exact moment heaven intended. Listen closely. Before you question it, before you minimize it, before you tell yourself, this doesn't make sense, understand this first. God does not allow accidents in the heart. And what happened between you and this person, older or younger, was not confusion, temptation, or coincidence. It was permission. Yes. Permission. You felt it before your mind could explain it. The pull. The recognition. That quiet intensity that didn't fade with time, distance, or logic. And you wondered, why would God allow this? Because heaven saw something deeper than age. Because God saw something truer than timing. Because this connection touched a place in you that had been silent for too long. Hear me clearly now. This person did not fall for you lightly. They fell hard, not recklessly, not impulsively, but inevitably. Their soul recognized something in yours that bypassed fear, history, and expectation. And when they tried to resist it, it only grew stronger. Some nights they asked God to remove the feeling. Other nights they asked God to explain it. But instead of taking it away, God allowed it to deepen. Why? Because this connection was not meant to flatter your ego. It was meant to awaken your spirit. You see, age differences unsettle the mind, but they expose the truth of the heart. They strip away illusion. They force honesty. And God often uses the unexpected to reveal what is real. This person saw you, not as society labels you, not as your past defines you, but as you truly are beneath the years, beneath the roles, beneath the wounds. They saw your strength. Your tenderness. Your unspoken longing to be met, not managed. To be chosen, not tolerated. And you felt it too. That's what startled you. You felt safe, and challenged, and seen, sometimes all at once. And part of you tried to pull back, saying, "This is too much. This is too strange. This can't be allowed." But heaven did not shut the door. Instead, God watched. Watched how you handled the stirring. Watched how you prayed. Watched how you wrestled between desire and discernment. And hear this carefully now, because it matters. God does not allow what will destroy you. God allows what will transform you. This connection wasn't sent to rush you, it was sent to reveal you. To show you where you still doubt your worth. To show you where you still believe love must follow rules instead of truth. To show you that your heart is still alive, still capable, still chosen. And yes, this person feels it intensely. They think about you when they wake. They replay conversations, moments, silences. They sense you even when you're not present. But they are also afraid. Afraid of judgment. Afraid of rejection. Afraid that you might dismiss what God has allowed simply because it doesn't fit a familiar pattern. So they wait. They watch for signs. They pray for clarity. They look for courage. And heaven is not finished yet. Because what God allows, He also guides, step by step, moment by moment. Do not rush to label this. Do not rush to deny it. And do not rush to decide before understanding what God is doing within you first. This is not just about romance. It's about alignment, timing, healing, readiness. And in the next moments of this message, I will reveal why this connection surfaced now, what role it plays in your future, and the one decision that will determine whether this divine permission becomes a blessing, or a missed turning point. Stay with me. Because what you're about to hear next will change how you see this person, and yourself, forever. Do not be mistaken, this connection did not emerge because you were lonely, bored, or searching. It emerged because you were ready, even if you didn't know it yet. There are moments when heaven leans closer to the earth, moments when God allows something unusual to surface, not to confuse you, but to interrupt patterns that no longer serve you. This is one of those moments. This person appeared when you had already learned restraint, when you had already survived disappointment, when you had already stopped chasing what drained you. That is not accidental. God does not send soul-impacting connections to people who are asleep. He sends them to those who are awakening. And yes, the age difference startled you, because it forced you to look beyond familiar excuses. You could no longer say, "It's just attraction," or "It's just comfort," or "It's just convenience." This was different. This connection required honesty. Honesty about what you truly desire. Honesty about what still scares you. Honesty about how deeply you want to be known, not admired, not used, but known. That's why this person didn't approach you lightly. They felt reverence before they felt desire. They felt caution before they felt boldness. They sensed weight on this connection, as if touching it carelessly could break something sacred. And you sensed it too. There was a gravity to every interaction. A pause before words. A silence that spoke louder than confession. That's because this wasn't just emotional attraction, it was recognition. Their spirit recognized yours. They noticed how you listen. How you carry wisdom or vulnerability differently than others. How your presence brings calm, and truth, and intensity at the same time. And here is something you may not know. They have compared this feeling to past connections, and none of them measured up. Not the ones closer to their age. Not the ones that seemed safer. Not the ones that looked better on the outside. Because those connections never touched their core. You do. And that terrifies them. Because to feel this deeply means risk. It means exposure. It means stepping outside what people expect, and trusting what God allows. They asked heaven, why now? They asked, why this person? They asked, why does this feel so undeniable? And God did not answer with words. He answered with peace, whenever they thought of you. That peace confused them more than fear ever could. Because fear can be rationalized. Peace cannot. Peace is permission. And still, they hesitate. Not because they doubt the connection, but because they fear losing you if they move too soon, or too late, or the wrong way. They sense that this connection is delicate, like something holy that must be handled with care. And you, too, have felt the tension. Part of you wants clarity. Another part wants safety. Another part is afraid of hope. You've wondered whether this is temptation or testimony. Whether it's meant to stay unspoken or eventually revealed. Whether allowing yourself to feel is wisdom or risk. Hear me now, because this matters deeply. God does not awaken hearts to punish them. If He allowed this connection, it is because it carries purpose, whether that purpose becomes a union, a turning point, or a divine lesson that reshapes how you love forever. But purpose always requires response. You cannot stay frozen in analysis. You cannot silence what God has stirred. And you cannot pretend neutrality when heaven has already moved. Still, this does not mean rushing. It means discernment. It means asking not, what do people think? But, what is God forming in me through this? Because sometimes God allows someone to fall for you, not so you rush into love, but so you finally believe you are worthy of being loved without conditions. And sometimes He allows age differences, not to challenge society, but to challenge fear. This connection arrived to show you what kind of love you are now capable of receiving and offering. But something must shift next. A realization is coming. A moment of truth. A decision, small on the surface, but eternal in impact. And in the next part of this message, I will reveal what this person is preparing to do, what heaven is watching for from you, and the one sign that will confirm whether this connection is meant to deepen, or gently transform and release. Do not turn away. What comes next will require courage, but it will also bring clarity you have been praying for. There is something unfolding right now that you cannot see, but you can feel it. A quiet preparation. An internal reckoning. A moment forming in the unseen. This person is standing at a crossroads they never expected to face. On one side is comfort, what they know, what feels explainable, what won't invite questions. On the other side is truth, the undeniable pull toward you, the stirring they can no longer silence, the sense that ignoring this connection would be a form of disobedience to their own soul. They have tried to outthink it. They have tried to wait it out. They have tried to replace the feeling with distraction. And nothing has worked. Because what God ignites cannot be extinguished by logic alone. There have been moments when they almost reached out, moments when their hand hovered, when their words formed in their mind, when courage rose, and fear immediately followed. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being judged. Fear that you might not see what they see, or feel what they feel. So they pull back. But every time they pull back, something inside them grows heavier. Because silence has become more painful than risk. And heaven is watching, not to pressure, but to measure readiness. You see, God does not force unions. He reveals alignment. And alignment always tests timing, intention, and truth. This connection has already passed one test, depth. It was not shallow. It was not fleeting. It did not fade when convenience disappeared. Now it approaches another test: integrity. What is this person willing to risk to be honest? What are you willing to allow yourself to feel without self-betrayal? Because here is the truth you may not have admitted yet. You have been preparing too. You've grown quieter, not because you're unsure, but because you're listening more carefully. You've become more selective, not because you fear love, but because you respect it now. You've stopped chasing, not because you're closed, but because you're discerning. And this connection met you there. That's why it feels weighty. That's why it doesn't behave like past attractions. That's why it doesn't rush or disappear. It waits. And waiting does not mean inactivity. It means alignment is still forming. There is something God is asking of you in this season, not an action yet, but a posture. Honesty with yourself. Not about outcomes. Not about labels. But about truth. Do you believe love must always make sense to be sacred? Do you believe your heart has an expiration date? Do you believe connection is only valid when it fits expectation? Because heaven is gently pressing on these questions. Not to trap you, but to free you. This person was allowed to feel for you because God is challenging the limits you quietly accepted about what is possible for you. And yes, this has stirred old wounds. Memories of when you hoped and were disappointed. Moments when you trusted and felt foolish. Times when love came with conditions disguised as wisdom. This connection surfaced to confront those memories, not to reopen pain, but to heal perspective. You are not being asked to repeat the past. You are being invited to respond differently. Still, there is restraint here. God has not rushed this because He is protecting both of you. Protecting you from fantasy. Protecting them from impulse. Protecting the connection from being mishandled before it's understood. But hear me now, because this is important. Protection does not mean prevention. Movement is coming. A subtle shift. A moment of truth. A word spoken or withheld that will reveal where this is going. And when that moment arrives, neutrality will no longer be an option. You will feel it, an internal nudge that says, do not shrink. Do not hide. Do not dismiss. That does not mean you must promise anything. It means you must honor what is real. Because what God allows, He also observes how you steward. And the way you respond next, whether with fear, faith, or avoidance, will shape what this connection becomes. In the next part of this message, I will reveal the sign God is about to show you, the inner shift that will make this person move, and the one thing that will either unlock divine timing, or delay it. Stay attentive. What's coming will answer the question you've been afraid to ask out loud. The sign is closer than you think. It will not arrive with thunder or spectacle, but with clarity. A moment when confusion dissolves. A moment when the noise quiets. A moment when something inside you settles instead of spirals. That is how God confirms what He allows. This sign will come through truth, not fantasy. You may notice it in how your body responds when this person enters your awareness, calm instead of anxiety, steadiness instead of urgency. Or you may notice it when you imagine walking away and something within you resists, not with panic, but with sadness that feels unnecessary. That resistance is information. God speaks through peace, not pressure. This person will feel the shift too. They will sense a green light, not from you explicitly, but from your energy. From the way you remain present instead of guarded. From the way you listen without retreating. From the way you stop minimizing what this connection is trying to reveal. And when they sense that permission, something in them will settle. Because here is the truth, they have not been waiting for certainty, they have been waiting for safety. Safety to speak honestly. Safety to be misunderstood and still remain grounded. Safety to risk vulnerability without being dismissed. And God has been shaping that safety in you first. This is why you were not pushed. Why silence was allowed. Why longing was tempered with restraint. Heaven has been watching to see whether you would grow bitter, or become braver. And you did not harden. You softened. That matters. Because now, movement is imminent. This person is preparing to express something. It may not arrive as a declaration or confession. It may come as a question. A statement weighted with meaning. An invitation disguised as conversation. Do not miss it. Not by overreacting. Not by underplaying it. But by meeting it honestly. You are not being asked to promise a future. You are being asked to honor the present. And this is where many miss divine timing. They rush to conclusions instead of responding to what is actually being offered. Respond with presence. Respond with openness. Respond with truth that is kind, but not evasive. Because what you affirm or avoid in that moment will echo. If you shrink, the connection will retreat, not because it wasn't real, but because it wasn't safe to continue. If you remain grounded, the connection will deepen, not recklessly, but rightly. And yes, fear will try to speak. Fear will whisper, "This is complicated." Fear will remind you of age, optics, uncertainty. Fear will urge you to stay in control instead of trust. But hear me now. Control has never been the language of love. Discernment is. And discernment asks better questions. Not, what if this fails? But, what is God shaping in me if I allow this moment to be honest? Because even if this connection does not unfold as permanence, it is still sacred. It came to unlock something you had protected for too long. Your openness. Your receptivity. Your willingness to be seen without strategy. And heaven is not finished. There is still alignment forming, still conversations to come, still truths to surface. But after this next step, the connection will no longer hover in uncertainty. It will move, forward or free. Both are gifts. And now, listen carefully, because this final truth matters deeply. You were never meant to carry this alone. Pray, not for outcome, but for wisdom. Pray, not for control, but for courage. Pray, not to silence the feeling, but to understand it. And God will answer, not by removing the connection, but by refining your response to it. In the final part of this message, I will reveal what heaven has already decided about your worth, why this connection was permitted regardless of age, and how this moment marks the beginning of a new chapter, whether together or apart, that will never leave you unchanged. Stay with me. What comes next is the confirmation your spirit has been waiting for. Now hear this final truth, slowly, deeply, without resistance, because it is the foundation beneath everything you have felt. Heaven has already decided your worth. Not recently. Not because of who desires you. Not because of age, attention, or outcome. Your worth was sealed long before this connection ever stirred. And yet, God allowed this person, older or younger, to fall for you because you needed to see your worth reflected through purity, not possession. This was not about being chosen to complete you. It was about being seen to confirm you. This connection came as a mirror, not to inflate your ego, but to restore your vision. To show you that love can recognize without consuming. That attraction can exist without manipulation. That interest can be expressed without urgency or control. And that is why God allowed it. Because you were ready to receive something cleaner than what you once accepted. You are no longer drawn to chaos disguised as passion. You no longer mistake intensity for intimacy. You no longer confuse attachment with alignment. This person sensed that maturity in you. That is what pulled them in. Not your age. Not your appearance. Not your circumstances. Your presence. They felt safe in your energy, safe enough to feel deeply, safe enough to question themselves, safe enough to consider a truth they once would have dismissed. And whether this connection becomes partnership or passage, its permission was divine. Because heaven needed to show you this. You are still capable of being loved without explanation. Loved without bargaining. Loved without shrinking. Loved without performance. And that truth changes everything. If this connection continues, it will do so with clarity, not secrecy, not confusion, not fear. If it releases, it will do so with peace, not regret, not shame, not loss. Either way, you rise. Because now you know something you cannot unlearn. That your heart is not behind schedule. That your season is not over. That God has not placed limits on what He can bring into your life. Age was never the barrier. Fear was. And fear no longer holds authority here. So walk forward, not chasing, not waiting, but aligned. Let honesty guide you. Let discernment steady you. Let courage accompany you. And when this person speaks, or when silence resolves itself, receive the moment without self-abandonment. Because heaven is not asking you to sacrifice yourself for love. Heaven is inviting you to meet love without losing yourself. This message came because a shift has already begun. Your posture has changed. Your heart has softened without weakening. Your faith has matured without closing. And God allowed this connection not to disrupt your life, but to confirm the work already done within you. So if this message resonated, if something settled instead of stirred, honor that. Return to it. Reflect on it. Stay close to the voice that brings peace, not pressure. And if you feel led, remain connected, because heaven still speaks, and timing still unfolds. I leave you now with this assurance. What God allows in love is never wasted. What He permits in the heart is always purposeful. And what He confirms in peace will always lead you forward. Stay attentive. Your next chapter has already begun, even if you don't see all of it yet.